The energy side, well, for me, it comes in tandem with the self-silencing. Self-silence is the fears, the doubts that we've got, and then the energy side is more, for me, emotional energy that kind is the one that's impacting me the most. And it's the emotional drain that you get from having to be switched on, and always on output rather than more inward focused as we are and as we naturally feel, as we feel more natural doing. And I definitely feel like there is aspects of that to do with our being around people, the energy that can take, and the output of that. And then it's the I call it soul energy sometimes as well. So there are four sides of energy. You have mental energy, emotional energy, physical energy, and then what I call is soul energy or metaphysical. And so for me, I am drained mentally by certain things. I am drained physically by certain things, and I'm drained emotionally by certain things. But then the soul energy is what actually can give you energy as well. And that is the stuff that really inspires you and excites you and gets you going. And I think that's important to note when we talk about energy, because a lot of the time with introverts, it's all about the batteries running.
If you want to make more sales without the pressure to post on social media, I made this podcast specifically for you. I'm Leslie Stevens, and this is the Not an Influencer, an Impact Maker podcast, where we talk about other organic marketing strategies to bring more clients into your online business and the stories of the incredible entrepreneurs who are using these strategies in their businesses every day to create success. You do not have to be an influencer to be an impact maker and build a successful online business. You are going to absolutely love this conversation. Today, we get to talk to Fifi. Fifi, can you tell us a little bit about you and what you do?
Hi, yes, thank you so much for having me, Leslie. And yes, so a bit about me. I am Fifi Mason. I'm a personal brand and visibility coach, and I specialize in working with introverted or quiet introverted coaches and impact makers, and helping them to get visible, to amplify their impact, and do it all in a way that is aligned with who they are, and really just enjoy the whole process as well. So figuring out how to show up in a way that feels comfortable, and so they can reach the people that they want to reach and help the people that they want to help the most.
I love it so much. And if you've listened to any episodes before, you immediately already know why I love Fifi so much and what she does. So how did you even get started doing this in this specific niche?
Yes, so this has been a journey for me, and so I started in 2018 as a freelance web and brand designer, and I had a really great year. It was exciting. There was lots going on, and I had a lot of referrals coming my way. But towards the end of the year and like the beginning of the year after, I started attracting the wrong kinds of clients that didn't value what I had to offer, the skills that I had, the knowledge that I had. Many of them, a couple of them, even left me in tears after conversations. And I think a lot of that was because I was a people pleaser as well, and going out of my way to really give so much, and not having those boundaries in place. But we can get to that a little bit in further in the conversation. But what really happened is I realized that it was sucking all the joy out of my work. It was sucking. I just didn't even want to actually do it anymore. I was so close to throwing the towel that I went on this what I call a self-discovery journey. And it was to figure out where I wanted to go with my business and what I wanted to actually achieve with it. And it was all about personal branding as well, how I wanted to be seen, how I wanted to connect with people, all of that kind of stuff. And what I did is I worked with a coach on some of it, and I was learning lots of things. And what I ended up doing was falling in love with that whole process. And it really was a light bulb moment to me of when I was figuring out who I am, what I'm all about, who I want to help the most, and why I'd been struggling so much to attract the right kinds of clients. It became clear it was because of my more quiet, introverted nature. I was hiding a lot of myself. I wasn't being myself in my content. And so this journey was kind of to help me figure out how I was going to do that, how I was going to show up as my authentic self. And yeah, I just fell in love with the process, and it wasn't quite a stretch from from branding to personal branding, and actually working on the strategy with clients. So I really looked at who I wanted to help the most, and I was like, well, it's me. It's who I'm the person I want to help the most, really. Quiet introverts like myself. And so that's how I ended up working with more introverts, and then narrowing down to coaches, because I'm a coach. So I just became my own. I am the person I help the most. So it just makes so much sense.
And you're the expert in that because you've been there and you've done that. And it's such like a beautiful progression into like really owning yourself and like owning each part of it and allowing that to come out in what you do. And I think that's so important for introverts to see, because me and you both know how powerful introverts are. We just aren't screaming it from the rooftops every single day, but bringing out that power in a way that feels more natural. And really that authenticity in your branding is such a buzzword, but it's also so important. And it is very difficult to do, especially when you're an introvert. So allowing somebody to kind of support you and guiding the way and being like, hey, I know how to get you from point A to point B in a way that feels good for you. And that's such a powerful transformation. And it does help you attract the right people and kind of step out of those people pleasing ways and tendencies and things like that. So where do you feel like introverts really hold themselves back in terms of entrepreneurship and growing their businesses?
Well, it is the visibility side of things. I definitely think that's one of the things that we do hold back on. And it's not specific to introverts, but I think there are some things that, because of our temperament, our personality, and the way that we are more likely to be inward focused, that makes it harder to put ourselves out there and be visible and be in that spotlight. And so, yeah, this was part of the challenge for me the most. It was just that visibility. And so what I've identified since then is that it's down a lot of the time to self-silencing, which is what I call I use to describe a few reasons that we do hold back and stop from sharing our thoughts, our ideas, our opinions, and really gets in the way because we fear the potential and it's definitely a potential, because it's often not even a real fear, but the potential fear or the potential consequences of actually showing up. There's a lot of going on in our heads around this. And so, yeah, self-silencing and specifically for introverts, there's the energy side of things, of course. So you always have to take that into account.
Yeah, I'm so interested in hearing a little bit more of that energy part, because that does play a lot into visibility and putting yourself out there and kind of the energy that it takes, and our focus on where we want to put our energy. So could you give us a little bit more insight about that?
Yes, for sure. So the energy side, well, for me, it comes in tandem with the self-silencing. Self-silence is the fears, the doubts that we've got, and then the energy side is more, for me, emotional energy, that kind is the one that's impacting me the most. And it's the emotional drain that you get from having to be switched on, and always on output rather than more inward focused, as we are and as we naturally feel, as we feel more natural doing. And I definitely feel like there is aspects of that to do with our being around people, the energy that can take, and the output of that. And then it's the I call it soul energy sometimes as well. So there are four sides of energy. You have mental energy, emotional energy, physical energy, and then what I call is soul energy, or metaphysical. And so for me, I am drained mentally by certain things, I am drained physically by certain things, and I'm drained emotionally by certain things. But then the soul energy is what actually can give you energy as well, and that is the stuff that really inspires you and excites you and gets you going. And I think that's important to note when we talk about energy, because a lot of the time with introverts, it's all about the batteries running out. And over the course of the day, the more interaction, the more things you're doing, you're draining that energy. And I think to an extent, extroverts still have that aspect too, but for us introverts, it's a little bit more to do with that emotional side, I think, especially if you're more of an empath as well. And but then we can bring it back up by working in a business that aligns with us, doing the things or doing the work, so that we have the personal brand and we have the business that is really aligned with who we are, so that we are every day being fed by that, by being energized by it.
Yeah. And I feel like I know this all too well. And in my very first business, I feel like I used so much energy to even get to the point where I was ready to get on the group call, or ready to have another call with somebody, or ready to put myself out there on social media. It was kind of like the build up to that point, and the anticipation of like, oh, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to be with all of these people. And that uses up so much energy as well. And I remember on the panel for Introvert You, where we were talking about this exact thing about energy. And I love that you brought up soul energy, because that is a huge factor for me personally in my business. If I do feel kind of myself reverting back to my own ways and being like, oh, I'm not sure if I've got it in me today to get on this call or do all of these things or take 6 calls today, I just like go back into that soul energy of like, oh my gosh, I absolutely love what I do. And I could talk about it for hours. So if I just show up in service, wanting to share what I do, that brings me that energy that kind of pushes me to that next level. It makes up for that other energy usage that I'm doing. And then we also talked about like, you do have the ability to increase your capacity to do these things. And sometimes that just takes a little bit of practice and inching yourself kind of out of that comfort zone, like time and time again. So at the beginning, if you're not used to being in front of a bunch of people, just start with maybe one short 15-minute call. And then the next day, maybe a 30-minute call. Like find your own way, but you can build it up over time and you can kind of grow that muscle. I guess that visibility muscle, you can grow that, but also figure out the way that you work the best. Like I know I am great on calls and with other people earlier in the morning. So I have my calendar set up for my most important calls to be earlier in the day. And then I cap them off around 2:00. Because I know after that, my energy is just low and I'm not at my best and I can't give my best energy. And that's okay because I've just figured out the way that I work the best. And I've allowed myself to listen to that energy and listen to myself and build my business in a way that's authentic to that. And people really understand when they work with me, this is just the way I work and they know exactly what to expect. So how do you support your clients in really listening to their energy and their intuition and bringing out more of them in their brand?
Yeah, well, it's a great point you made there about actually like looking at your day and your own energy, and I call this mapping your energy. So you can actually sit and work out every part of your day and where your high energy is, where your low energy is. And then, just make sure that you've got things in the right places. So if something is a high energy task for you, which is different for everyone, but for me, a high energy task would be this podcast. And I would do, and I tend to do them towards the end of the day so that I don't impact the rest of my day, so that I can just finish up at the end of the day and I'm done. And so, just being aware of what it is that that does impact you in that way, and then mapping your energy around it. So that's a really great point to bring up, and to really embrace your energy and to embrace who you are and bring it all together. It takes, you did touch on this as well, taking those gradual steps is huge. It does take, just to start with, acknowledging what is going on. So if it's to do with your energy, like we say, it's looking at mapping it out and figuring out what's going on for you, actually understanding what you need. But if it's because you're showing up because of fears or doubts in any way, it's really acknowledging why, the reason why you are holding back and not being visible. And the reason why you're not being your authentic self in the expression of your business, in your brand. And even if it could even be in your daily life, you could be holding back from being your true self with friends and family, and it could even start there. So I think it's just being aware of where the challenges are for you is the first step. And then once you start to understand that and acknowledge what it is for you that is the problem, that's when you can start taking those gradual steps. So making sure that you work towards your energy rather than against it, your energy levels, and then working through those challenges that you're facing when it comes to the fears and the doubts. And to start to really express yourself, you will start by looking at your values. Figuring out who you are is the first step. What you stand for and what you want to be known for. And then it's who you want to help the most, and making sure that you can really communicate that effectively. And that's what I do with my programs and my coaching. But yeah, so it comes in these stages. There is the first stage is the visibility stage, that actually you need to start showing up, but then it's to show up consistently. And that's where you have to be aware of your energy, your capacity to not, when I say consistency as well, I need to clarify this. It's not about being there every single day and being on all the time. It's going from this challenge that a lot of introverts have, of being on all the time, and then burning out and being invisible again. And so it kind of goes up and down. And what we want to do is just level that out. We want to get to a place where we're just consistently showing up in a way that works for us. And it's a level, it's not peaks and troughs. It's actually on a very calm level that we're showing up, and it feels authentic, it feels right. And so the first step, getting to a point where you're actually being visible in some way, and then it is really figuring out where your challenges are coming from a consistency perspective, and then it's your messaging as well. So really getting clear on that and understanding how to communicate exactly what you want to express and the message that you want to get across. And then the final step is to become the messenger, which brings another challenge on that journey, which is how do you actually start to articulate that and get it across effectively?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so well put. So well put. Do you feel like this self-silencing that we do kind of as introverts and as growing like businesses, do you feel like it comes in like layers? Like the first layer comes with that visibility, and then as you become more visible, it's another layer to kind of break through and continue to grow? Or do you feel like it's just like okay, I'm visible now?
I do. I think, well, it's a journey, and it's taking these gradual steps through that journey, which is actually how you start to work through it. But you have to see it as a journey. When you start out, you're going to have specific challenges around this. And I've spoken to a lot of introverted business owners when I've been on podcasts or just in my group and things like that. And you can see at the different stages, they've had different challenges. And I think in the early stages, it does come back to the 5 core reasons that we could get into today. But the other challenges might come when you have more to lose as well. So it's not always necessarily to start with. I think some of them are like you're going to question, you're going to worry about what friends and family might think about you, for example, in the earlier stages. But once you've been out there for some time, you've probably moved past that one. But what you might then feel you're not kind of doing is actually being fully authentic, and you've got far more to lose by doing that. So different stages is still a challenge. I definitely think so.
Yeah, and allowing yourself that space to grow and be like, it's okay. Like the more I do, the more I grow, the more the business grows. I'm going to hit different things. That doesn't mean I failed. It doesn't mean I have gone back to square one. Like all of it, you're going to reach new levels and find new parts of yourself. And I think that's a really exciting thing about being an entrepreneur specifically is like, yes, you may face challenges and want to go back and hide in your hole sometimes, but it's also a great opportunity to like reveal that next level of yourself and reveal another layer of authenticity to who you really are, which you may not have even let yourself kind of experience that yet. So I think it's extremely exciting. Now, we've been talking about visibility a lot. So what would be your best recommendations for entrepreneurs to become more visible if they've just started their business?
Oh, if you've just started out, I think it is just looking at what you want to be known for and what you want to stand for. And when you feel more confident in that, when you feel the most confident in that, you're going to really, it's just going to make things so much easier. So I could share with you the three B's, and this is what I feel is lacking or needed to help you to be visible, and that is belief, balance, and belonging. So the first one is belief, and that is belief in yourself, belief in what you stand for, belief in your values, just to really work on knowing what it is that you want to be known for and start putting it out there. And then balance, as we've talked about, energy comes into this, but it's also really working in your zone of genius and working to your strengths as well, and knowing that you're doing the right things in your business as well, or to actually get your message out there. And then the third is belonging, which I think is one of the most important things, because when you know who you're helping the most, you find your place in your people, and you're clear on your purpose, that is when you will find that belonging, that sense of belonging that you need, because you can then create the spaces for the people that you want to help the most. You're the one that is there facilitating it, or you can find those places at least, because you really narrowed down and connected with who you can help the most and how you can do that through your business and through your coaching or whatever it is. And so balance, but belief, balance, and belonging is really what we need, and often what we are lacking. So when we really plug those gaps and really get clear on what our beliefs are, how to find that balance, and how to create belonging, that's when we can start to get visible.
I love it. So to navigate this path of finding all these things and building their brand and business, how can people find you to connect with you and potentially work with you?
So I have some resources that you can just help you get clear on some of these things. So I have the Authentic Self Personal Brand Assessment, and then also the self-silencing quiz, or what's holding you back self-silencing quiz, to figure out what is stopping you from showing up. So there's some free resources just to help you out, but you can find those at fifimason.com/connect. And from there you'll find all the ways to connect with me and find out more about me. So that's it.
Perfect. And we'll have that link in the description below. So click it, take that quiz, and find Fifi and send her a message, connect with her. She's absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Leslie.